It is perhaps necessary to introduce myself. My name is Addison DeWitt. My native habitat is the theater. In it, I toil not, neither do I spin. I am a critic and commentator. I am essential to the theater.
George Saunders is Addison DeWitt. Mm-hmm. He does say that Eve is up there with Margot. Mm. He has praised her to Bette Davis's character when Bette has missed this audition. Mm-hmm. And he's comparing Eve to her. So it seems that Eve does have something. But the way she went about it in using everyone that came in her path was just kind of shameful. But apparently she does have something.
I kind of thought DeWitt was, George Sanders' character, was kind of playing the cat fight. He is a critic. I got the feeling he wanted, he was an instigator in some particular, at some moments. And he wanted to see a little cat fight, almost egging on Margot in certain cases, you know, knowing that that would get her goat. And, you know, I think he had two roles to play. I think, yes, he saw the talent in Eve, but he was also saying, well, if we kind of, we have two starlets here, now let's see him rumble, knowing that, you know, Margot was up for the fight. So I think he had a role in that.
I never thought of that, but I could see him egging her on.
Ever so slightly, but it was there.
Or ever so obviously.
Yeah, he had quite a few different vices going on as far as, I think we've talked about it before, as far as his need for power and realizing that, well, this young starlet, I could really own her because I know about her. She's not really what she claims to be. I've done my research on her. And I see that, well, she really is so ambitious that she's willing to lie about her past. She's willing to go, you know, to do everything possible to get in her good graces, Margot's good graces, and to get where she's gotten, and even farther. And
so you would say that he was even using her as much as it kind of looks to us that she would try to use Addison. You're thinking that Addison...
It was a two-way street, I think, but I think he probably had more of an insight into her character than she did with him. She knew about him. She knew his power. She knew he was a very powerful critic, and she, you know, I mean, she read his columns all the time. So she knew all the famous people who wrote about the theater. But I don't think she realized just how cunning and how that he was one step ahead of her, in terms of that, in terms of ambition and in terms of power, and the fact that he could use her and own her. You know, she didn't know that, and so he was a step ahead of her. Ambitious motives.
Because there were holes in her story.
Yes.
And he clearly saw through them. So he lives in a world where there is plot and where there are characters, and he knows how plots progress. And he knows that characters have motives. And so I think it's almost as if Eve is the perfect character. And so he can analyze Eve the way Karen and Margot are just sort of endeared to her. He can sort of analyze her and break her down and see past that. It's like, you're too good to be true.
And as though he were watching a play. As being an analytical critic, I think he has everyone pegged. And we don't know so much about him. So he can read everyone. And as you said, one step ahead of everybody.
It's the play within a play for him.
For him, yeah.
It's a play within a play. And if you remember the opening scene also when he's narrating it, and you see when finally Eve is going, well, even before she goes up to get the award and then they pause, you see after everyone is applauding and Karen is not applauding and, you know, Margot is not applauding, and the camera pans to him. And do you remember the expression on his face? snickers. He's almost like snide, like
enjoying it.
he's enjoying it. He's looking at them being in turmoil.
Yeah.
And he's enjoying he's enjoying it playing out, the scene playing out with them.
Yeah.
The play within the play for him
Yeah.
is seeing how they're squirming, the fact that she has become a star at the expense of all these other people who really brought her there, so to speak, without their knowing.
Somewhere at the end of the film, when Addison and Eve have that confrontation, where basically Addison puts her in her place, but good. You guys remember that scene?
Oh, yes.
Where I think Eve sort of doesn't know enough about Addison, but tried to pull something over Addison, and Addison is basically like, hold on, I own you, I will break you, and I'll tell you a couple of things about yourself, to which she started to get a little flustered, like, because
it even starts when he says, you're too short for that gesture.
Yes.
Close that door, have a seat, and let me tell you what it's going to be.
Right.
There was no way of her knowing how to even fight him. I don't think she has seen anything as powerful
Like
as he.